What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pure Evil. I'm your host, as always, Evil Eddie. And I gotta say, this year flew by so quick. Already we're at the end of 2018, moving into 2019, and we got some big things planned here for Pure Evil in May. I think it's time to take a leap of faith. I think I've built up a good amount of credentials, made a staple inside the scene in the past couple of years. We're going on to our 5th year here for Pure Evil MMA. By the end of 2019, there's a lot of things I would like to accomplish. And the first thing we're going to be starting with January 1st is the official Pure Evil MMA website. So we got that to look forward to, and you guys can find all the podcasts, all the interviews. We're going to have forums. We're going to be doing news, stuff like that. So I'm really excited for that. I mean, this year literally flew by so quick, and it's the end of an era, as you guys saw last night for UFC with Fox. Ally Quinta, Kevin Lee, Edson Barboza, Dan Hooker, our boy Rob Font taking out Sergio Pettis. So much has gone down just this week, just the past couple of weeks inside the MMA scene. So it's going to be a big ball to unwind for the end of the year show. I was already going through some of the best knockouts of the year, submissions of the year, fighter of the year, female fighter of the year. I mean, as you guys know, if you've been following Pure Evil MMA for a while now, and if you are new, make sure to subscribe down below. Follow me on Instagram at Pure Evil MMA_, also on Twitter at Evil_Echo. But every year we get a bunch of media members together. We review topic by topic. Fight of the year, submission of the year, female fighter, and the list goes on. Even craziest news story of the year. So you guys got that to look forward to. This is probably going to be the last recap show, I guess, before we head into the new year. I mean, we do have one more pay-per-view up and coming. John Bones versus Gustafsson 2, which I cannot fucking wait for. That could be fight of the century. It really could. There's so much, but has all the ingredients to be definitely fight of the decade. Especially after the first one, if it lives up to the potential of what we saw in the first one. And both these guys have evolved since that time. John Jones wasn't even training in Albuquerque. Alexander Gustafsson, he was such a huge underdog going into that fight. I think he was like a plus 700 or something like that. So it's crazy how much time's going by. But one thing that hasn't changed is the 5-inch reach advantage that John Jones has. All right, so we're going to be talking about that a little later on. We got a huge show set for everybody. Actually, a little shorter show than usual because we had a couple of guests drop off last minute here. But we got Sweetbread joining us. We got Randy Marshall joining us. We also got Jordan Griffin, who fought last night, most likely joining us. So before we jump into any interviews, I really want to just relive some of the best moments from last night's event. Ally Quinta taking on Kevin Lee in the rematch. Now, there was a lot of people out there saying they were expecting a little bit more from Kevin Lee, but man, I had a 2-2 going into that 5th and final round. Kevin Lee, the way that he was reacting when you watched Ally Quinta get his hand raised, and then Habib Nurmagomedov tweets out, "Be humble, my friend. Humble is key here." That's the same fucking guy that jumped out the MMA holes called him out. They were like, "Are you the same guy who jumped out the cage after the Conor fight? You're talking about being humble?" And then he said some other crazy shit that I'm not going to repeat here. You guys can go check that out yourself. And then I also see a lot of people out there saying that Dan Hooker's corner should have thrown in the towel, that the ref should have stopped the fight. And here's my issue with that. We recently saw Yair Rodriguez pull a rabbit out of a hat in literally the last second after losing an entire 5 rounds. We also seen referees step in a little bit too early. And for this fight specifically, it wasn't like Hooker was getting mauled nonstop. Every time Edson would land something, there would be a null in action. There would be a quick break. Hooker would recover. But you could tell he was in agonizing pain. Apparently he had a concussion. They're keeping him in the hospital for an extra day. I don't think it was really on the ref there, because Dan Hooker, even though he was saying he was in pain, that would have been, if he verbally submitted, I just realized this, if he would have verbally submitted, that would have been the 3rd verbal submission of the week. Frank Mir over in Bellator, verbal submission after his mouth guard gets knocked out. His daughter in the corner. Frank even said early on in the night, he was like, I would like to have my daughter make her debut the same night that I fight. How are we going to reach that moment? That was really hard to watch. I mean, Frank Mir had a great first round. Then after that, to lose to the opponent that he lost to, Ayala, right? Is that right? Ayala. Very upsetting for Frank Mir, who was lost 7 out of his last 9 fights. Bellator, though, man, successful weekend for them. However, and I'm going to jump back into the UFC, but it's just so crazy that they think that MMA fans are made of money. Great, they had the Bellator card Friday night. Then they do a back-to-back one for Saturday. We saw this recently when they came here to Mohegan Sun, then bounced to New York the next day. Worked pretty well. I mean, I would have liked to seen it, focused in on a really good card instead of spread out. Get it all in one night. But to have it in Hawaii, huge. Have 2 nights, one night being free on cable, which isn't free. You got to pay for a cable bill. And then the second night, only on DAZN. So, which makes no sense. I'm really interested to see the numbers for that fight, because for that card, honestly, there was a couple of good fights on DAZN, but it's so expensive this day and age to be an MMA fan. What was it, $9 a month for that? $9 a month for Fight Pass. So we have ESPN coming through, which is going to be, another $10, $20 or whatever it is. You got pay-per-view, $7 a month. This is something, I'm blue in the face talking about this. Who can afford to be an MMA fan this day and age? Could you imagine having to pay for the Super Bowl or the MLB playoffs or something? Like, I just can't. It wouldn't work. It doesn't work. So I'm interested to see the numbers last night. McFarlane defending the title against Valerie Letourneau, who verbally submitted. But I love Valerie, man. She's any fighter that I've met or interviewed before in the past. It's hard to see stuff like that happening. You got to give them respect for even making the walk to the cage, going to somebody's backyard, going to Hawaii. Did you guys hear the crowd last time this girl fought? Not even in Hawaii. To have everybody booing at you, making your walk to the cage after going through a brutal weight cut, and there's so much that goes into this fight game that the fans don't appreciate. Even seeing Dan Hooker last night taking all that punishment, man, it's hard to watch. So I do understand why people were like, oh, they should throw in the towel, whatnot, now that we're rounding back to that. But I don't think that the ref made a bad choice. It should have been up to the corner. Edson Barboza was just teeing off. There was no stopping him. And I kind of found it a little strange that he didn't go in for the kill. He didn't go in for the finish. I mean, it was kind of crazy that Hooker kept getting up, took a lot of punishment in that fight. Rob Font going in there. Let's take a look at the card. Rob Font going in there as well. Let's see where this card's at. Rob Font versus Sergio Pettis. Sergio Pettis moving up to bantamweight because they got rid of the flyweights. He's just not big enough, not strong enough. Rob Font saying that Pettis was a little bit quicker than he thought, but there was just no match. Rob Font, top 10 contender there inside the UFC. Big win for Rob Font as well. But Pettis, man, I don't know. He was like the young up-and-coming star for the UFC. He was going to be the guy that was supposed to fight Mighty Mouse and have a chance to win, but the time never matched up right. It's like his skills got better, but it just never matched up to where it was like, all right, we're locking this kid in. He's ready for a title shot. And now it must be really confusing if you're Sergio Pettis. Because it's like, man, what do I do right now? My division's gone. Bantamweight, these guys are just too big. They're too strong. Maybe his body needs to develop a little bit more. He's still such a young guy. Then Miller versus Oliveira. Jesus, man. This was a pretty decent card. I would like to have seen more finishes on the card. If we compare it to some of the other cards for Fox this year, I'd rate this one a 6 out of 10. But I say this all the time. If you don't get a finish in the main event or the co-main event, it's really hard to remember the event at all weeks down the road. Very sad, though, saying goodbye to the Fox contract. Let me run over, grab the phone because we should have Sweetbread calling in just any second here. Also calling in tonight, we got Randy Marshall. Should be calling in about 8:40. One FC signed him. Let's break in a little bit of news before Sweetbread calls in. Oh, it looks like Griffin is actually going to be calling in any second. All right, let's see. All right, so we do have Sweetbread about to call in, and then right after him, Jordan Griffin, who did fight last night, didn't get the win. But you guys may remember him from the Ultimate Fighter, or not the Ultimate Fighter, Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. All right, Sweetbread's calling in now. All right, let me give him the number. And then let me give Griffin the number. All right, perfect. There we go. What's going on, Sweetbread?
What's going on, my man?
Not much, man. I mean, it's been a busy weekend, busy year for us here as, MMA fans and fighters ending the year out for 2018, heading into 2019. And before we talk about what's next with you, man, how have you been since last time we spoke?
I've been good, man. I've been good. I've been a little sick, to say the least. Definitely enjoying the holiday season, to say the least, man.
What goes in with living on the East Coast? Everyone gets sick around this time. I've been sick. My family's been sick. My dogs are sick. So it's just something that happens here on the East Coast with the weather changing all the time.
Dude, I've been bullets, man. I haven't got sick, and I'm usually like calculated. I get sick twice a year. I get massive like sinus infections, and I'm actually due for a surgery. The same surgery that Colby Covington had, where they go in and they a sinus cavity with like a balloon and straw type system where they inflate and flush and all this other good stuff. Here's the first year I got the flu vaccine, and the first year I haven't got sick. So kudos for that.
Dude, have you done that surgery before? Because MMA fans have seen that before on the Ultimate Fighter with Uriah Faber. They put the thing up there, they pump it, and it looks really scary to do. Have you done that before?
I have not. I've had my adenoids removed. I had tubes put in my ears when I was really young. So I've always had sinus related issues. It's just to the point now where I don't even get colds or flus anymore. I just get like real massive sinus infection.
So, man, like, how close are you with Rob Font? I mean, a lot of the East Coast fighters, seems like everybody all gets along. I believe he trains with Mark as well, Delagrati. You train under Mark Delagrati. So how close are you guys to one another? I mean, he also trains with Joe and all them as well.
I do. Rob, he no longer trains at a Sigatong. So Rob's been kind of like a big brother. When I first started training with Sid, years ago, before I fought with Joe Cushman, and I was 3-5 at the time when I started training at Sigatong with Rob, and he's a big reason I've had a lot of success because I've been able to push myself with guys like him and kind of get my ass whipped. When you're sparring and grappling and moving around with guys at that level, you're only going to produce success on the opposite end. Rob's been that guy, dude. He's been kind of like a mentor. He's kind of like a team leader, and he's helped me out a lot along the way. I got the opportunity to train out with him at the PI Center in Vegas this time last year. So, shout out to Rob Font, man. He's the man.
Last but not least, before we let you go, what do you got planned for the holiday season and New Year's coming up? I saw, what are you going out getting? Christmas tree? You got the Christmas tree all set up and everything. Have you done shopping yet?
Set up, ready to go. Dogs all pumped up, ready for Santa to come walking through the door. This New Year's, man, I like to lay low. I did some work in my house. Actually, the week of the Uhl fight, I completely renovated my basement. I put pergola floors in, did some drywall, painted, LED lights in the ceilings, a bar, the whole kit and caboodle. The week of the fight, just to occupy my free time. And I'm hoping to utilize the space for New Year's. I like to have a little shindig out with some friends. That's something small.
when exactly is the next fight for the promotion for CES?
Yes, I believe they got January 19th. January 19th, I believe, is the next card. It's a Saturday card, and it's an afternoon card from what I saw online. They're going to start the fights at 2 p.m. So
What's up with that? Why would they do something like that?
no clue. To be completely honest with you, brother, no clue. I put some thought to it. I don't know if it's maybe the size of the card that they're looking to expand and get more fighters on the card, and who knows? It's trying to do something of that nature. You know, I don't know until I see the actual card light up to kind of put some thought to it.
Sweet Brett, I want to thank you so much for joining me once again here on Pure Evil MMA. We're looking forward to what unravels with you in 2019. And once again, man, enjoy the holiday season, and thank you for joining me once again here on Pure Evil MMA.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me, man.
Enjoy the night.
Night.
There you guys go. Sweet Brett. I had a little difficulties for just like a quick second here. Let me text Jordan Griffin. But basically, we were talking about he's got to go get a surgery done. And it's the same surgery that we saw in The Ultimate Fighter where they put the balloon in the nose and they crank it and it expands. Man, I would be so nervous to do that. Griffin, what's going on, my man?
Hey, what's up?
Not much, man. I mean, let's jump right into the beef and potatoes. You got to make your walk out to the octagon. How are you feeling before the fight? How are you mentally feeling before that? How did you prepare for that walkout there? Because we're all rooting for you, bro. You've been on Pure Evil MMA before. We've seen you go in there and really perform. You get the contract for the UFC. So how were you feeling before you made that walkout?
I was feeling good. I was excited. I was extremely excited to fight in front of everybody. In the hometown, and I was feeling good. I went out there and. I thought I felt good. I had the same time that I've had in the past when it comes to like the people, the wrestlers. As far as kind of getting that late start when people kind of like take my back, you didn't even really take my back. I just had the best of the positions, and I was able to get out of all of them. Yeah, other than that, I felt pretty good.
Was your opponent like what you expected? I mean, you guys had a great fight. But it really seemed like the wrestling aspect of it, you're having a little issues with it. Were you kind of expecting that going into the fight when you signed the contract? Like, this is a wrestling guy. Am I ready for this?
Yeah. I expect it every single time. I think it's just something I really need to just lock down, like now, especially now. I got 2 more fights left in the UFC. Obviously, I have to win these next 2 fights, but it's definitely something if I want to continue to progress. I really need to lock down, improve my jiu-jitsu and then improve my wrestling, obviously, and positioning and transitioning. A lot of the stuff I was doing, I was able to get out of every single thing he was putting me into. A lot of the things are just little small things. I had like 3 different submissions locked in on him, and again, it was really one of those things where if I had just moved a little bit faster, I'd have finished and walked away. But I didn't. It wasn't my night.
Were you able to rewatch the fight?
Yep. Yeah, I watched it this morning. So I don't agree that it was a unanimous decision. I think the first round, I'll give it to him. I think the second round, I definitely took over, and then even like in the third round, even though he got me down, I think it was just back and forth. So I definitely, if I would have lost, split decision, or if I would have won split decision, I could have understood that. But I don't see how it could have been unanimous decision. Unless we're just counting takedowns at this point, which actually I got a takedown on him in the first round. And and every time he did take me down, I reversed right away. So it's just kind of like, I don't know what to say.
Well, I've seen a lot of fighters out there come forward and be like, I really wish we knew what the judges were scoring round by round, so we can discuss a game plan round by round, so we know where the judges' heads are at, how they're scoring this fight. Is that something that you would like to see as well?
Yeah, or at least make sure the judges have some kind of background or knowledge on the sport.
making sure they're not just like spectators and people who really don't have much of any kind of background in it, and they're just kind of looking at who looks dominant, which to anybody it's going to be the person who gets the takedown is dominant, which I think is still, there's a difference. You get taken down, but you reverse, or you get someone in a submission, or you know what I mean, or there's some kind of fight back. I don't think the takedown should be as dominant, or I feel like there should be takedown and maybe have that 3-second rule where you take them down and you're able to maintain that 3 seconds. Then that's a takedown. Then you get those points. Then you know what I mean. But if you just take somebody down, you don't really have them down. They're kind of positioning and moving around. I feel like they need to change those rules up.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of fighters say that.
People's records.
It's like, you can't score from your back. It's like that's not the truth. Like, it makes no sense. Just because you're on top doesn't mean you're winning the fight necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, even when he was raining down punches and stuff on me when he was in mount, it was like he really wasn't hitting me. I was able to reverse and get out. My mom and everybody kind of laughed. So they were like, "Did he just slap him?" Because I slapped him like 3 times when he mounted me. But it is what it is.
So before we talk about anything else, I really want to talk about what you did before the fight. I mean, this is a big thing. This is your dream, reaching the UFC. We're looking at pictures on your Instagram right now of you signing, the posters and stuff like that. What was it like, man? How did it feel to finally get that opportunity to reach a goal that you've been, busting your ass for?
It's great, but it was great to go there and get the experience in my hometown and kind of see how the UFC works. I think next time I'm going to be more well prepared next time I go out. I won't be. I really wasn't distracted. I just said I was just out of my element. I was kind of trying to learn the ropes. And hey, I got to check in here. I got to do this. I got to do that. The UFC is extremely organized. So that helps a lot. But definitely just to see how the process works and be there, that helped a lot. I wish I could have pulled out the win, dude. I felt like I was so close, and a couple times, and it just wasn't my night. So
it goes without saying you're obviously more comfortable moving forward now that you're able to dip your toes in the water. So is it true that the octagon jitters for your first fight is a real thing? Would you say that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I was rolling up in all my other fights. I kind of told my teammates this. I was like, I haven't had the jitters in like a really long time. I thought while I was going on, I've been on so many wins. I've been on like 3 win streaks. So it's time to start the second one up. But the third or fourth one up. But yeah, it kind of gets to a point you're winning. You know where you're at. You know what you're doing. You show up. I show up to these events. I know what I'm doing, where I'm going, what's going on. I know everything. There's no second guessing it. And I feel like that's what it's going to be like in the UFC for me from now on. I show up. Okay, you guys gave me my criteria, my schedule. I go to the hotel. I've been there before. It's all the same. The stuff from the local scene is all the same in the UFC, except you got to take like the photos and all that other stuff. But it's fairly similar. I think I was just a little bit out of my element, and I learned, and now it's just time to work on the small things. In the UFC, everybody's good, and I should have just been more well-rounded. Dan Ige seemed to be just like one little step ahead of me on everything, but it's kind of even hard to say that because I kept getting out of everything he put me into, and I kept reversing. So it's like, yeah, it just wasn't my night.
Were you able to talk to Dan after the fight? Did you guys catch up backstage?
Yeah, I went and talked to him and congratulated him and stuff, and he said, he said he's like, oh yeah, man, he's super humble dude. And he's like, yeah, man, you have an amazing story. You're 1-3, and just basically was like, yeah, good fight, and he was like, yeah, man, don't worry. He's like, I lost my debut too, and then I came back even harder, and I'm like, yeah, dude, that's the plan, He's like, just work hard, and it was cool. It'd have been nice to end the year strong, but you know what? I think I still had an amazing comeback here, so
Well, I mean,
2019 is going to be great.
we're inching into 2019. You got a fresh slate ahead of you. And like you said, you signed a 3-fight contract under the UFC, correct?
Yes.
All right, so what are you doing moving forward? Do you want to get both those fights in next year, obviously? But how soon are you? And I know this is like the cliche question, and you might not want to hear it right now, but are you anxious to get back in there now that you've dipped your toes in there? Are you anxious to get that second fight? You
Yeah.
feel more confident?
Yeah, I'm not hurt or anything. You know, my shoulder's a little swollen. I'm not hurt. To be honest, I mean, I didn't get put in any kind of danger. Like, he didn't get any submissions. I had a full rear naked choke locked in. Like the only thing I didn't get in was where if I would have locked in my heel, my hooks on him, that choke was completely around his neck and onto his shoulder. And then the guillotine too. I had a couple of really deep guillotines on him as well. I was in no real trouble in that fight. I just think I'm good. I can't wait. I just need to get healed up just a little bit, get out of my 45-day suspension. I'm going to be going to the gym and running every morning and working out, just physically and mentally get myself there. And then it's time to tighten up the game plan basically from here on out. So, yeah, if I can get these 2 fights out in 2019 and re-sign another contract and fight more in 2019, just win everything, like, that would be ideal.
So obviously, I was just talking. It's December right now. We got Christmas coming up, New Year's. What do you got planned for the holidays? You're not going through a fight camp or anything, so you kind of get to enjoy it probably for the first time in a long time. So what do you got planned for the next couple of weeks here?
I'm gonna go buy some presents. I'm gonna go pay some bills. I'm gonna buy some presents and go spend time with my kid and yeah, man. I mean, I guess just plan. Dude, it never ends for me. You know what I mean? Like, it never ends for me. So I'm just kind of planning. I'm already thinking about what I'm gonna change up in the gym, and I'm excited. So.
I also got to ask, like, you making your debut, they had the open workouts and everything. Was it kind of like, did the media obligations kind of sidetrack you a little bit?
It was just all new again. It was all very new to me, but it's stuff I need to get used to, and it's stuff that I'm not saying I didn't like it. I loved it. It was awesome. This is my new job. This is what I want my job to be. I want to make money. I want to make $250,000. I want to get up there. I want to up my check. It's what everybody wants, and I have an opportunity that not a lot of people get, especially someone who started out at below the bottom. You know what I mean? Like, I have a losing record onto the UFC now. Fighting with the best. And I just need to prove to everybody, like, hey, like, you haven't seen anything yet. I'm coming. So I think just getting out there and getting my first UFC win, I think that's just my main priority right now.
Before we let you go, I got to ask you this: did you catch any of the other fights on the card?
Yeah, I watched all my teammates fight. Everybody's fought good. I mean, it's rough. Sometimes you lose. Not everyone can win everything, and I think Rufus Sport's going to come back in 2019 even stronger and better.
We're looking forward to it, man. I mean, the fight with Rob Font and Sergio Pettis, it seemed like Pettis is just, it was a bad matchup for him because Rob Font, he's a bigger dude, but Pettis, he's so quick. He just got to really adjust to, going back to bantamweight because he's fought at bantamweight before. I just think it was a bad matchup for him. What was he saying after the fight? Did you catch up with Sergio?
No, I haven't talked to him really. We just kind of check in with each other. Like, hey, how you feeling? And, and we're like, oh, we're good, man. It was kind of like that. But, yeah, I definitely think Sergio, he's going to adjust back up to 135. And he's going to be feeling a lot better. And then I think, it's just about, it's the end of the year. I think we're all going to reset and go into 2019 and have a different mindset. You know what I mean?
I want to thank you so much for joining me once again. What are you doing right now? I mean, a day after the fight, are you sore? How are you feeling right now? What are you doing?
I'm actually sitting here watching Avengers Infinity War with family. So
that's legit. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day for joining us today, Jordan Griffin. And, man, we're looking forward to what happens next with you in the story. We got to have you back on for your next fight in 2019. And we wish you best of skill moving forward.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
There you guys go. Jordan Griffin fighting last night for the UFC, making his debut, coming off Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, which is a new thing they threw into the mix this year. And for anybody that was tuning in now on the second part of this stream, I do have to apologize. We had to my computer just like shut itself down, restarted out of nowhere. And I'm in the middle of doing the interview with Sweet Red, and I had to record it on my tape recorder while, I didn't want to tell him and throw his groove off. So you guys probably hopped onto this live stream kind of a little confused, like what the hell's going on? And if you're new here on Pure Evil MMA, subscribe down below here on YouTube, iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify. Also, I'm doing a podcast with James McSweeney from season 10 of The Ultimate Fighter, an amazing knockout a couple of weeks ago. He actually has a movie, Sankar movie, coming out in 2019 with the #1 actor over in Malaysia, Zul Afrin. So we got a lot to talk about on episode 10, which should be coming out this week as well. Guys, 15,000 downloads we did on the podcast this year. 15,000 downloads. I want to thank everybody so much for that. And we got Randy Marshall calling in next. So let's get Randy in here. What's going on, Randy?
What up, brother? What you doing, man?
I'm just relaxing. Just hung up the phone with Jordan Griffin, who fought last night for the UFC. He had the octagon jitters pretty much. Everything was new to him. He went to a decision. And I was kind of telling him, man, like, it's a real thing. It's like we hear a lot of fighters say, your first fight in the UFC, everything's new. You're doing open workouts. You're doing media obligations. I mean, there's a lot going on to kind of take in. And then you got to make the walkout. You're on TV, the last Fox card. That's got to be nerve-wracking for these fighters.
Yeah, there's a lot to that. You're basically busy up until the moment that you get in and bang, brother.
So, Randy, I want to jump right into the meat and potato of things with you. You've been on the podcast a couple of times before in the past. People may remember you from the last episode, being really tight with Mayhem Miller, running the chat room. But you told me you got other things in the work right now. What have you been doing in 2018? You're talking with who are you talking with in the fight scene? I know you're talking to a couple of legendary fighters. Dan Severn, right?
I talk to a lot of people.
Aren't you working with Dan Severn or something?
With Dan Severn, I was actually connecting him with another business. I'm not actually going to speak on that because I know, at least for now, Dan would prefer that I keep that quiet until he's complete with his business transactions on that.
All right, that's legit, man. So honestly, let's go. What's going on with Mayhem? This has been a crazy year. I haven't talked to him. I've tried tweeting him. I've tried messaging him. What's going on with Mayhem? Where's he been?
He's locked up.
He's still locked up for that.
Yes, actually, it's a very strange story, and it totally fits Mayhem's life. It totally fits the style of things that you would expect to happen to Mayhem. And, you have one side that, he kind of looks bad to the public because they only hear one side of the story. But then there's this whole other side, and I don't want to release too much information, but I can basically tell you he had his home taken from him. The money from the home was put in a joint bank account, and then that money was later squandered by another person, we're not going to say their name, and they bought a house with that, not putting it in Mayhem's name also, basically taking every dollar he ever made, and then that's where the story ends, and now Mayhem's locked up.
So is that he's locked up because of the whole allegations with the urinating thing? Is that how he got locked up? Or can you, for people out there that aren't aware or caught up with the story, can you catch everybody up with what's going on with him? Because he's such a staple in the scene, man. One of my idols.
He's locked up for vandalism, and the odd part about it is this property that he supposedly vandalized has about $100,000 worth of equity in it, but this $100,000 worth of equity is actually his money. But the person that bought this house bought it without putting it in his name also, but used his money.
Wow. Really seems like a lot of people are taking advantage of Mayhem. I was really looking, like, just to catch everybody up, like, what was it, the beginning of last year or a year and a half ago? He was out in Poland doing his thing, working with Matt Horwich. Things were looking up for Mayhem Miller. He had a show that he was working on. There was a lot of things that he had. It's just really sad. Like, what do you do in that situation? People are taking advantage of you, and obviously being hit in the head so many times, people say, is part of his wackiness, but he's just a wacky dude. That's just like his personality for as far back as I can remember. I mean, but it comes to the point where it's like,
definitely a wacky dude.
You gotta,
He's definitely a wacky dude.
You gotta know better for things like, you know, there's a lot of it that's really funny, really comical, like, you know, taking the TV and smashing it and saying the government's watching, you know, all the wild stuff that he's done. But there's a line that you don't cross, and it just really I worry about him. I worry about Mayhem. I know there's a lot of people out there that worry about him. Adam Hunter as well, really close with Mayhem as well. It's just a shame, man, because he should be, you know, the vice president of ONE FC or something at this point. He's such a big name in the sport. He opened up doors for mixed martial arts in the early 2000s with Bully Beatdown. And I actually saw you talking about something with Bully Beatdown. You want to see it come back? You want to host it? I mean, is there any actual talks of them really bringing the show back and having, you know, new hosts, new fighters on, or you know, scripted or unscripted? Is there any actual word of that going on?
I've heard bits and pieces. I've heard from reliable sources that it is a thought and a concept to come back with the new Bully Beatdown. But the issue is going to lie when you try to put somebody else as a host, because people like Mayhem, they don't like the serious, stale person that's going to get in front of the camera and just be totally serious and testosterone out. People aren't going to be able to relate to that. Like, just from some text posts I've posted, people have even basically went as far as to say they're not going to watch it if Mayhem isn't involved.
Yeah.
But because of the nature of my post, I've been a lot of times often accused of being Mayhem.
Wait, explain that. What do you mean? What is the post? What post?
Well, you know, I like to post things that like currently have me not on Facebook until January 4th, 2019, but you know, I'm in a relationship with Facebook standards and policies, and I'm working on it. You know, I'm only human, brother.
So wait, you got banned from Facebook? Is that what's going on right now?
I am totally banned from Facebook. Generally, I'm Randy Marshall, 187, but for the time being, I'm Randall Conrad Marshall.
Oh, what exactly did you do to deserve that? You're just like joking around doing memes and stuff like that, or like, because you know, even Darren Till got his account taken down for promoting a sport. I had my account taken down. Robin Black had his account taken down. I mean, they're on a rampage with it.
I missed that last sentence.
They're taking everybody's Instagrams, Facebooks down. They took mine down, Robin Black's down, Darren Till's down. I mean, they're cleaning house with everybody in the mixed martial arts scene, whether you're posting memes, promoting the sport, whatever it is, they're cleaning house. They're really tightening up the ties over there at corporate Facebook.
You know one thing I noticed? If you post any type of video, even after the fact and the pay-per-view's been sold, if you post anything to do with a major pay-per-view event, you're going to get banned, and you're also going to get something saying that if you want to dispute this, then you need to contact the UFC, and it comes with this entire list of things you could do and how to get a hold of them, and if you think this is unfair, and
you can appeal it pretty much.
I'm just sharing content that people want to see.
And promoting the sport. At the end of the day, we're promoting the sport when you're posting stuff like that. And honestly, man, like it takes people years of work to build up a profile. Like for me specifically, my Instagram page, the second I lost that, my Facebook page for Pure Evil MMA, I had a couple thousand followers on there. And then one day it's just gone after all the work you put in, time, dedication, just gone for, literally promoting the sport. It's just wrong. And what happens to freedom of speech when it comes to, being banned for, saying something that's offensive? When has that ever been a crime?
I would just die if I lost my Facebook just because of my contacts alone on there. If that ability to be able to message the people that I need to message, it would totally put me back to the 1800s that I would have to get in horse and buggy and go to their gym and send out little telegrams. And
basically what I had to do, I lost all my followers. I had to start from the ground up again. And somebody like you who's in contact with a lot of the fighters, the managers, and even the chat room, which I want to talk about the chat room as well in a second, man. It's just devastating because it really is a lot of work to be a presence on social media. It takes a lot.
It really does. Especially if you're multifaceting it and trying to stay on as many platforms as you can. But even just one can take your whole day, and sometimes even being banned is almost like it's taken away, and you're almost relieved because you don't want to deal with it, but you're also finding yourself like, oh God, but there's things I have to do.
It's just so aggravating. They definitely need to do something about it. Just the fact that Darren Till's profile got taken down, it's ridiculous. Robin Black taken down, doesn't make any sense. Well, I really want to talk to you about the chat room that you got. You kind of are in charge of the Mayhem Miller Monkeys on the chat room. I'm a part of the room as well for the past couple of years, man. And I have my own chat room on Twitter, which you're a part of as well. There's a lot that goes into it, man. There's a lot of drama. It could really get in your head. How do you deal with hundreds of people in the chat room? Because every day my phone goes nuts for the Mayhem Miller chat room, man. It's got to drive you crazy sometimes, but there's such a big payout with connecting with these people, and just for them to be able to escape for a moment of their day, in their hectic day, to check in the chat room and talk to people that understand them, that entertain them or cheer them up, is a big plus. But for somebody like you or me who's kind of in charge of it, it could be really difficult at times.
Definitely. And when you've had somebody in the chat room for 2-3 years, you start to share like their real life experiences with them. Like for instance, we had Danielle. She had cancer.
Oh, shout out to Danielle, man. Danielle DeVar.
Totally. Yeah, she's a book writer.
Man, I love her. I love her. She follows me on Instagram as well, and she's going through one hell of a battle right now with going through the cancer. I saw that she lost her hair, and to have a support group behind you like that, like, a lot of people look at the Mayhem Monkeys and they think it's, a bunch of silliness, but people don't realize how many people connect on that level that they don't feel misunderstood for once in their lives. And for people like me and you, and to have that all under one roof and to support somebody like Danielle going through a time like that could be life-changing, could really put them in good graces in their recovery.
Exactly, and that's all I was thinking about. Like, honest to God, when you have some kind of illness like that, especially at a stage 2 or above, and I believe that's what she was at, was stage 2, I knew what it really come down to was just keeping her spirits up and just keeping her interacting and going through her regular day, and then constantly reminding her, especially once at the halfway point, hey, you've already had 3 transfusions, you only have 3 more treatments left, and then you're done. And she's done now. She just finished right after Thanksgiving. So now she's her white blood count's coming back, her hair's coming back, she's starting to get energy again, she feels better. We just had another Mayhem monkey have a baby. So we growing, bro.
I mean,
a little tiny, big enough to to play with the phone yet, but he'll be on there soon.
Last time I had you on, you came on with what was his name? Oh man. Last time you came on. Where's Crazy Style? Where's he been? Is he still around?
Man, I miss that motherfucker, dude. Like, I don't know, dude.
Didn't him and Mayhem get into some beef or something like that? Like, I remember for a little bit, like after an interview, he was really pissed off at Mayhem, like trying to bring Mayhem down. Like, what exactly happened in that situation? Like, did Mayhem say something to him or what?
Yeah, I mean, I was there. Like, sometimes we take it too far, I guess. I mean, I said some dumb shit and Mayhem cussed me out, but at the same time, you know, I don't even know what theirs was about, but I just kind of came into the chat and they, like, it's not just like the Mayhem Monkey Call chat. There's like Mayhem Monkey Call, there's Monkey Ops, like we got all these different little chats, and it depends on who I take care of, and then there's some like where like Mayhem business groups and you know, but in that particular one, I guess they just had a misunderstanding.
So that happens all the time.
Exactly what it said.
That happens. That happens all the time in like my chat room for Pure Evil, and man, it can get really irritating because it's like, you know, we're here to just kind of chill out, and like I said before, it's like we're escaping from reality just for a moment to enjoy, you know, the online family just for a second. And if you get in an altercation or get in an argument with somebody on social media, it's really crazy how much it affects your actual life. Like, people might think it's crazy, but it's true, man. Like, there's been days where, you know, people in my chat room will be fighting, and it really takes a big toll on me. Like, how do I fix this? And it's a big process, and you can really get wrapped up into it, and it can really affect you for negative reasons. But, you know, the sole purpose is for the group is to have a positive outlet to escape, you know?
Exactly.
So honestly,
and I think the way to keep that together is, one, I don't micromanage anyone. I think the closest thing we've ever had to a problem is like some people may not like what other people put, like as far as their memes or whatever. But like the agreement we all kind of have is, if I don't like it, I'll just scroll past it and look at the next one. I might even be like, hey, I don't like that. But nobody hates on anybody. Nobody cares what anybody does. Everybody's just down, and then when we get some rotten seed in there that comes in, and you can just tell them, like, they're not. I don't care if they take it serious or not. As soon as they start acting funny or sideways or whatever, you just let them know, like, hey, you know, we're like chill as fuck in here. Like, don't come in here with that.
Yeah.
And I've only really had to boot 2 people in the last year or two, and everybody just like knows to be cool in there, I guess.
I like that, man, because it's really hard. Like, you have a huge group of people in that chat room, and like for me, like I'm trying to relate like my chat room to your chat room. It's like somebody doesn't like something that this guy said or this one said, and they get so mad to the fact where they'll leave the room. Like, people I've known for years will leave the room or be like, you know, it starts all this drama, man. It's crazy. I wish there was an understanding, like, just scroll past it. Just be chill. Like, everyone has a freedom of their opinion. The whole point of the chat is to, you know, share information, or like I said, get away for a second. So why stick on something that you don't like? Why drag it out?
Yeah, we can't all agree on everything, but we can agree to disagree.
Last thing I really want to talk to you about moving forward is, have you been in talks with not Mayhem's buddy over there, Daryl Horcher? Daryl Horcher. Where's Horcher? Not Daryl Horcher. Why am I drawing a blank? Matt Horowitz. Matt Horowitz. Where's Matt Horowitz been? How's he doing?
He's doing great, man. He's just traveling the United States.
There's some really funny...
hell, man. You go from Poland to Russia to California to Washington to, like, he just ends up everywhere.
I mean, he's a guy that I would love to see like a movie based on. There's so many like great stories. Chael Sonnen has so many golden stories about Matt, where it's like, you know, spilling like cottage cheese in his duffel bag and not washing the clothes and then training in them. Like all this really funny stuff. I mean, he's such a character, fits so well with the Mayhem Monkey Gang. But I want to know, like, what's up with Mayhem? When is he going to get out of prison? When's he getting out?
Say that again. I'm sorry, I missed it.
When's Mayhem getting out of prison?
To be honest, I don't know. His court date, I believe, is January 4th. Not 100% certain on that. I do know it's in January.
It boggles my mind. It really boggles my mind to think that he's sitting in jail right now. He's sitting in a prison somewhere. I mean, is he in prison or is he like somewhere where they're going to help him? You know, he should be somewhere where they're actually gonna you know, mentally help him and figure out, you know, how to level the chemicals in his brain to really just be even though that wouldn't be Mayhem, but he needs some sort of stability when he leaves there. We can't have more craziness happen.
I agree with that. Like, he has self-control to a point, but at the same time, you know, he lives a different lifestyle than most people. And sometimes I think he even feels that he has to top himself and live up to a higher name of what he's done in the past. But at the same time, you know, he's had issues in the past with a little bit of alcohol and all that. And he got a little buck naked in the church and sprayed some police officers with some fire extinguishers and got paid stuff. But like that was just Mayhem being drunk and stupid. Like even Mayhem will tell you that. Like he doesn't have a normal life, and I think honestly, it's going to take nothing less than him leaving California and focusing on some type of project to fully get straightened out.
Yeah, I can see that. You know what it kind of reminds me of is the Jackass guys from MTV. The guys that were on Jackass. It's like every time somebody sees them, they're expecting them to top themselves, and it turns into this vicious cycle of just madness. Really, like people really expect them to be this big almighty person that's gonna pull off these crazy stunts or say something crazy like that. I agree. Maybe the best bet when he gets out is to find a project to focus on, man. And I think something like getting out and doing a bully beatdown or something. I mean, this day and age, there's so many media outlets. It's not like the early 2000s when MTV was ruler of all.
I'd like to think, and I've heard rumors that he could possibly be writing a book while he's locked up.
Ooh, that's great. I'll
message him and find out, but that's just something I had heard.
I will. Oh, I'd read that in a second. I'd read that in a heartbeat, without a doubt.
100%.
Honestly, they should make a movie. They should make a Mayhem Miller movie, but the one thing that's missing is the glorious ending. So we can only wait and see what happens when he gets out. And honestly, man,
you know what else would even be good? And I know this sounds crazy and off the wall, but you do not believe what someone would get if they went to that jail, visited him, or did their video chat, because you could video chat via internet, I believe, and then take those sessions and put them on something like Netflix and just let him explain himself. I think that would be amazing.
How about that? That would be really interesting as well. Something like a Making the Murderer, or so it's like a Netflix series. That would be really interesting. I could totally see something like that happening, because there are a lot of people out there that can relate to Mayhem.
I know. I can actually give you the link to where you can sign up to be one of his. I'm not for sure if you have to show up in person or if you can actually do it from the website itself, and then you just video chat. But I know that he picks up a phone and talks on some type of video camera.
Really? How about that? I would love to look into that. That sounds really interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are trying to get on that list, man. But let's be real. The Mayhem Monkey Circle is so tight. I feel like if Mayhem knew that I was trying to get a hold of him to do something like that, he'd probably be down. I'd say there's a good 30% chance he might say yes to something like that. I love that,
I'll
Randy.
give you that. You can write him.
You could write him at the where is this, in California, right?
It's in Orange County, California. It's the Leo Center or something like that.
Me and you were going to talk after this interview. I think that's a great idea to try to reach out to him and kind of get his side of the story and just even check in with him. I would love to just write him, just let him know that we're thinking about him, man. Because like I said at the beginning, and I told him when I interviewed him, he is one of my idols. I had his picture on my wall. The first time I ever saw Michelle Waterson was on the Bully Beatdown show, and I got a Michelle Waterson poster for my bedroom wall. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that feel misunderstood, and you see somebody like Mayhem Miller, and it brings you close to home. Be like, there are people out there that are like me, and now I feel a little bit more comfortable being myself.
How many people worldwide like him. That's the surprising part. If you go on Facebook and look up Bully Beatdown subject, and then look at all the people that are even to this day still commenting on this stuff, that they're actually from all over the world. Like, there's people from Dubai, people from everywhere, like Ecuador, everywhere.
I wonder if Mayhem, like, he's in prison right now doing like a cellmate beatdown or something like that, where like two guys have beef in the jail cell and like he matches them up, gets them set up in the cafeteria or something like that. You know what I mean? I could see that going down. Just him having fun. I don't see him in there, wasting time. I see him in there actually having like an Orange is the New Black kind of thing. Like I could see him in good spirits there in a way. And I think that's a good place. Like maybe jail's not the best place for him, but somewhere he can just get away from substances if that's true in jail. And, just kind of unwind and get his feet back on the ground. So that's why I like writing a book or something like that would be a great outlet for Mayhem. I would be interested in that. That's
true, because like being locked up's boring, but if you have somebody that's funny and makes the time pass, then it makes it a little bit more fun.
Imagine Mayhem being your cellmate. I mean, you lucked out. That would be great.
That totally would.
I'm sure he's going to have some crazy, funny stories as well when he gets out of there.
That's true.
So, Randy, before we let you go, man, before we let you go, what is your plan for 2019 moving forward?
I totally missed that question. Go ahead again. I'm sorry.
Moving into 2019, what are your plans for everything that you're working on right now? Where do you see yourself? What are some of your goals for 2019 that you're looking to accomplish as we march into the new year?
One, I'm trying to purchase a piece of land on a mountaintop. So one, it's high elevation. I want to put a training camp up there. I'm working on learning how to do my own digital media. I'm learning how to make videos. I'm learning how to basically make all my own stuff that I would have paid out hundreds of dollars.
Shit's expensive.
Companies to do for me, and I'm learning all the Adobe software.
Man, I went to college for that. Like, you have to go to college courses to learn some of the crazy stuff that you can do with the Adobe programs, and it's kind of crazy because you got to pay like a certain amount of money a month, but you can do a lot using that program instead of paying hundreds of thousands of dollars having somebody else do it.
You can download Premiere, you can make your own websites, you can do your own special effects, you can do your own fight posters, you can do your own promo clips, you can insert your logos into it, you can turn your logos into 3D objects, you can do anything that you can imagine in your brain. If you have the Adobe Cloud, you can do it.
So you said that you're trying to open up a gym. You're trying to build it from scratch. Are you still at a gym? Are you still training at a gym right now?
I'm not actually. I'm just living on top of a mountain. And the last time I trained actively was about 2 years ago when I was running a gym in Hagerstown. But now I'm sitting here figuring things out, getting ready to make my moves.
And when I get up on top of this mountain, it's going to be great because instead of having one instructor, I'm actually going to have instructors from many different styles. I'm going to find the perfect wrestling coach, the perfect jiu-jitsu coach, the perfect boxing coach. It's going to definitely be nice.
Randy, I want to thank you so much for joining me here on Pure Evil MMA. Thank you once again for everything that you do in the scene, and I hope you have a great night, man. As normal, if there's anything that you want to get out there and say, sponsors, anything at all, shout-outs, the floor is now all yours. Hey, I got to call you. Call me in 2 minutes. Shit. We lost him. We lost Randy. I got a call from a family member. Hold up. Let's get Randy back. And if you guys aren't aware, Randy's the guy who runs the Mayhem Monkey Cult. Randy, I got disconnected for a second, man. But as always, if there's any shout-outs or anything at all that you want to get out before we let you go, the floor is now all yours.
Hey, I'd like to shout out, obviously, the Mayhem Monkey Cult. Shout out Mayhem. Hope you got one of them little radios in your cell, homie. Shout out to Don McGuire. Shout out to my homie, Eddie Vallejo.
Man, I really think the best shout out of the night was for Danielle, man. I mean, what she's going through and overcoming that. I want to thank you for that, for having a community for somebody like Danielle to reach out to and feel comforted. That means the world to even just one person that could feel better in a community like that. It's got to mean the world to you. So shout out to Danielle for overcoming this, and shout out to the Mayhem Monkeys for, keeping her in good graces. You guys should applaud yourselves for that, because that means a lot, man. That could save somebody's life, literally save someone's life, and it has.
That's why that show needs to come back. That show needs to come back because at the end of the show, Mayhem would always say, "Join my monkey cult," or he'd say, he'd always shout out the monkeys and he'd tell them to join. But guess what? They were joining. They were joining forces on the internet. They end up talking together. Once upon a time, it was just a page and a couple other things. But we expanded to about 15, 20 pages, and then it was Twitter, and it was Instagram, and it's all over Facebook, and then we have 10 chats.
Man, even Ariel till this day. I mean, for you guys out there that aren't aware, the reason why Ariel Helwani is in the United States is because of Mayhem Miller. Mayhem Miller was one of the guys that signed on his card to come over to the States to kind of vouch for him. So without Mayhem, there would be no Ariel Helwani. And that's why Ariel still to this day has a picture of Mayhem in studio. So, Mayhem, we miss you, man, if you ever hear this. And, Randy, we got to connect in just a couple of minutes here, because I would like to, get some information to reach out to Mayhem. And, even just write him a letter, check in with him, let him know that we're thinking about him.
Yeah, anytime, man. Hit me up.
All right, Randy, have a great night, and thanks for joining us here on Pure Evil MMA.
You too. Take it easy, brother.
There you guys go. Randy Marshall, the Mayhem Monkey Cult, man. If you are in the MMA scene and you've never heard of the MMA, the Mayhem Monkeys, you're out of your damn mind. You're out of your damn. It's so sad, man, because I used to look up to Mayhem Miller growing up. I was able to relate to him for years. I couldn't see anybody filling that spot on Bully Beatdown ever. There's no way you can. There's no one. It's almost like he really is like one of the jackass guys. I'm not saying he's a jackass, but he's like one of those characters where it's just like so over the top and so entertaining to watch. I always thought his career was going to bloom and blossom outside of the cage. For a lot of fighters out there, they struggle to figure out what they're going to do after fighting. Mayhem Miller, man, he had a golden road paved in front of him. And it just goes to show that you can have the world by the balls, and you can screw it up just as well. So let's hope that Mayhem is writing a book. Let's hope that Mayhem is getting better, getting the help that he needs. And I mean, I gotta think, imagine Mayhem as your cellmate. That would be so crazy. Just I wonder what Mayhem's doing right now in Orange County locker room. Like, it's so sad, so sad. One of the biggest stars in mixed martial arts. And he'll never be forgotten. So let's hope that something good happens. He's still alive, and that's all that matters. Guys, this wraps up the end of the show. Meaning, I have an announcement to make for the winner for the Robbie Lawler autograph. I drew a name out of a hat. Not a hat, out of my shoe, because I don't have a hat. The winner is Chillzone 95. So Chillzone 95, if you are watching this, hit me up. You have won yourself a Robbie Lawler autograph. And also, guys, we have 2 more giveaways coming up this week. So if you didn't win this one, there's still 2 more. One exclusive for the Pure Evil MMA chat room, and the other one, anyone can win as long as you tune in here to Pure Evil MMA. Guys, I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA. Remember, without evil, there's no purity. Wear knuckles to the end. Behave yourselves.